A very warm good evening to every single one of you who's joining us to watch this wonderful series called the Syrow Spotlight series. So welcome folks. This is the first video interview in our Syrow Spotlight series. In this series, we will be covering a wide spectrum of businesses and discussing exciting prospects with them about their ventures, their markets, common business issues, and new innovations. Of course, we must get to know these wonderful founders of India well. And that's why to begin with, we thought it would be appropriate to talk about a topic that is a backbone of every business, large or small. You may call it capital, investment, funding, finance, but it all boils down to one word, and that is money. Yes, money makes money, right? So how can a startup attract investment? How can you attract capital, especially with no prior business expertise, and yet you still want to build and reach your goals? To answer these questions, which are so important in today's context, we are really excited to have with us Malar Potnis, a co-founder from Arthayan, who's going to talk about their exclusive online platform called Funding Quest and how fresh startups can take advantage of this initiative, which is essentially designed for them. So this is Vijeta Shastri here, who's your host and your moderator. Welcome, Malar. Welcome to Syrow Spotlight. Thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us. And we are really looking forward to know more about you and everything else that is making you tick, and looking forward to our discussion. So let's get into it.
Yes, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me. It's a real pleasure to discuss such things with people like you who understand the ecosystem and have a interesting intellectual conversation around the topic.
Thank you for having me. Fantastic, fantastic. So let's start with this, Malar. Even though the Startup India campaign was launched in 2016, it was between 2020 and 21, which is just in the last 2 years. And of course, today we are in 2022, that 40% of the total startups were recognized under this program. And they say that the official number is 16,000 plus. It is growing steadily. And the 16th of January has been declared as the Startup Day for India. So it's so very interesting. And of course, consider the fact that in just 6 months, you have 10,000 fresh startups registered. Now that's really rapid growth. Okay. So tell me, Malar, considering all this, how do you see any issues that are cropping up? And how is your platform making a difference to the founders who are looking to raise investment and capital?
Right. So one thing that I feel that's happening as a trend is that while there are so many new innovative startups that are coming up, there are many startups who are working in similar spaces in different geographies. So they are solving real problems, but they are not solving unique problems. So what our platform does is that we connect them with investors that match their problem statement actually. So if they are working in a particular sector, our platform, our algorithm matches them to people who can help them solve that. And apart from that, there is a mentorship angle also involved in all of the activities that we do. So as a startup, you can get actual good advice from people who have seen so many business models, so many startups that have sprung up, and they can guide you better as to how can you build a unique selling point around your value proposition, or is there a different customer segment that you may probably be ignoring as of now. So more the number of startups, there is more need for funds and mentorship, because the direction and the money to kind of go ahead is what's probably not being mapped properly, and that's where we come in and do the needful.
Excellent, Malar. So one of the things that we would really like to understand is that, yes, of course, Arthayan is based, most of you are based out of Bombay. Number one, you seem to have partnerships all over, and of course, Syrow is based out of Bangalore. However, what is this trend that we are seeing, that we see the flow of Indian working professionals who are moving back to their hometowns and actually launching their own ventures, their own startups in smaller tier 2 and tier 3 cities? Now, your platform, Funding Quest, how can it really help them? Love to know more about that, Malar. Please go ahead.
Sure. So Earlier, before the pandemic, what typically used to happen was that the startups from Mumbai, Bangalore, and Delhi got access to the major VC funds and angel networks that were based in these cities. So it somehow started off becoming a exclusive club of a kind where you had to go to certain IITs to be a part of those circles, or be in those cities for you to have physical access to, meeting these investors and pitching your ideas, and having discussions around it. But post pandemic, with the rise of internet penetration as well, people have access to so many things even in their hometown, right? Maybe a tier 2 or a tier 3 city. So there are fantastic ideas that are coming out of such places, and now there are no geographical boundaries binding them to talk to investors just in their vicinity. Now they can approach investors sitting anywhere in the country or even the world for that matter, if they have a brilliant idea, if they have generated enough traction, and they can start a conversation with these investors that can fund them. Earlier it was a geographical thing that used to happen, that again, even if there were references being shared, geography again came into place over there, right? I mean, if you went to say IIT Bombay, you would have people probably in and around you who are from this region itself. So now what has happened is the funding process in general has been democratized, that it doesn't matter where you're from. You can get access to good funds from anywhere. So a small example is that we are seeing startups in Northeast getting funded by investors based in different parts of the country, for that matter. And we feel that's really fantastic, because otherwise there were such neglected areas that weren't getting enough attention from the investors. But these startups from Northeast, even Kashmir for that matter, have good ideas, have good business plans, but they just need the right connect, or the right spotlight, if you may, to kind of drive their growth. So I think that's something we are helping them do through our platform, that if they sign up and create their profile, the platform matches them to the investor which is best suited for them, and then there the geography doesn't come into play. So it doesn't matter if you're from tier 2 or tier 3 city anymore. And I think earlier people could use that as an excuse for not having enough access, but I don't think people can do that anymore.
Excellent, Malar. So what you've done is you provided access, and I love that word that we use, right? Your platform will give you the right connections and a spotlight on these wonderful founders. Fantastic. Really, a lot of power that you have brought into the system. Thank you.
And one more thing I would like to add over here is that we have been doing so many programs with incubation centers all across the country, right? So we did one with the incubation center in Anantapur, which is a small town in Andhra.
Andhra Pradesh, yes.
Yes. Then we did one with a incubation center in Pondicherry. Then one with an incubation center in Sikkim. All over the place, right? And what we did for them was these programs where we brought in mentors from all over the country who are subject matter experts, industry experts, to come in and mentor those startups at those locations. Again, the mindset, I mean, was it possible before pandemic? Yes, it was possible before pandemic as well. But the mindset shift that happened made it really happen. Even though it was possible before, it wasn't happening. But now these startups can access the resources of the entire country virtually, and actually benefit from the knowledge and the connections that these guys bring to the table.
Fantastic, Malar. Very inspiring. Very inspiring. So now I'm going to ask you a very, very specific question. Okay. How exactly do you prepare these companies and these founders for funding? You talked a bit, I know, about mentoring and putting the spotlight onto them, but can you just verify to us and run through a simple process that you follow? Please go ahead.
So again, I think majority of the things that we do are based on mentorship. So we don't claim that we are experts in a particular field or anything. We actually map you to someone who is. We guide you in getting the most out of that person as well, and we help you through our curated set of knowledge series in kind of getting up to speed with certain aspects of your business plan, your financial valuation. So we run knowledge series sessions which are freely available for startups regarding this entire fundraising process as well. So one program that's currently going on that we have organized is a 10-part interactive series where we have invited managing partners, CEOs of leading VC firms and angel networks across the country to come in and interact with startups and take up one topic regarding the key aspects of fundraising. So they cover a topic, they interact with the startups, they answer those questions that startups may have, and if there are synergies that can be explored post the session as well, they take it off. But getting them to these people and them answering their queries is something that we have been able to do very well. So we have I think mentored more than 2 to 3,000 startups through our network of investors, industry experts, and incubation centers.
Excellent, Mala.
That's how we kind of are addressing it. But our role is just like a 2% role in the company's success, right? They have that amazing idea, they have that killer instinct to go ahead. We cannot take any credit for things that they do. It would be like putting up a banner on a bus stop saying that this guy is ranked number 1 and he's from our coaching class, but while the student has actually worked and prepared for the exam and actually is where he is. So it's all about the startups that they are the ones who are really good, and we just act as a catalyst and do our small bit in their whole journey.
Fantastic, Malar. I know you're being modest, but yes, you're absolutely right. The stories, the inspiration, and the hard work of these founders is something that is going to really make a difference to our country and to the ecosystem. So thank you for this. One more input that I would love to get from you, Malar, is that you just gave me a number, 2,000 plus people and founders that you have mentored. We also talked about the fact that in Startup India portal itself, there are 16,000 startups. And I'm sure there are lakhs of other founders, brilliant ideas, youngsters, and even older people in the smaller towns, of course, in metros as well. Okay. So keeping that in mind, very honestly, there's so much to do, and I'm sure that you guys are going to do so a lot of this thing. Tell us about this very specifically, the ratio of investors to startups or SMEs, and are there enough investors? Is there enough capital to back all these phenomenal, brilliant business ideas that are coming out from India?
So now, and I think this is a layered question, right? So one is, first, we need to, as a country, identify that which are the companies that really need the money, right? Not everybody needs money from the ideation stage, probably. One trend we have noticed is that while startups don't have money, the trend that we have seen personally is that founders come from backgrounds which have money. They do have that risk-taking appetite, but they have some kind of a backing from their family or friends or something that makes them confident enough to kind of take. In that case, sometimes external funding is not required at all. So if you, as a company, identify your future cash flow projections, what are the things that you're going to be spending on, and what are you going to achieve from that, then you may actually realize that you don't need money for a certain period of time. And till that time, you can actually go out on your own and do things. Then the second thing is, of course, I mean, if you look at the number of ideas versus the money, then obviously that's a mismatch, that there always will be more ideas than money. But in terms of startups, so the amount of money, I mean, in 2021, I think I think $42 billion was raised by 2,000 plus startups in India. So there is money. There are startups raising funds left, right, and center. And again, this is probably a number which is from the institutional VCs. There are so many more who are raising money from angel investors and stuff like that, which is not coming on your story or Ring 42. So these are also kind of startups that are coming out. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it is getting more and more balanced because the risk-taking appetite of Indian investors is also increasing. So now everybody wants to be a part of a startup in some way or the other. And now people have figured out that, okay, if I cannot personally work in a startup, I might as well invest in one. So that's a trend that's coming up. And so yeah, I think it's getting pretty balanced.
Fantastic, Malar. Of course, you are seeing so many startups. You all are being part of so many conversations between VCs, the mentoring workshops that you do. You all are talking to startups, the spotlight that is there on these founders. India is a very massive market, and there's a lot of organic disruptions that are happening, and more startups are getting launched. So, considering all this, okay, I know Malar, it's a personal thing. Also, I think you did mention about your initial foray into the job market. So, keeping all your personal experiences, what is happening in the market scenario right now? How do you see the challenges and the gaps being addressed? You can give us a crisp overview. That will be phenomenal.
So multiple challenges, that are coming up from every aspect, and I think uh, I think one webinar is not going to be enough for all the challenges that we are facing right now. But the key challenge that I think I would like to highlight is the crunch of talent. So while there is a mismatch between number of jobs being created versus people who are seeking them, there's a huge mismatch in the talent that is required to kind of do those jobs as well. So as a startup founder, one expects that with a certain qualification, if someone is joining their startup, they would be able to hit the ground running. But the reality is that our education system uh, hasn't been up to speed with the industry so much, right? And uh, so the likes of TCS and Infosys can spend 4 months in training someone in doing a particular job well, and then kind of enter them. But in a startup scenario, we don't have those 4 months to train someone. We expect them to come in and start working from day one and actually do something which maybe we cannot do. So in that scenario, the learning part or the knowledge and the skill set to do the things that you can do in a startup is a very big mismatch. So I think if as a community together, if we can solve this problem, then I'm sure there will be many more people who would be looking to hire those talented individuals, because investing in human capital is also a very good form of investment. And I think that's something that can the startup ecosystem in India can definitely benefit from. Talented young individuals who know their shit and who can do their job.
Oh, very good, Malar. And I think the various government policies that are coming out, for example, in Karnataka, we have this Elevate program. Then you have, so many. I think Gujarat is doing something. Maharashtra, you give us very good examples about Northeast. So can you just tell us how these things are also helping the startups?
Yep. So, of course, there we are seeing reforms in the education policy. We are seeing government supporting, the startup initiative in general. So, what Modi government has done really well is that they have provided different schemes and grants which are really operational, and we have seen them personally at play, because through these network of incubation centers, they were even funding ideas, right? They are giving money for idea to proof of concept. Then if the startup reaches proof of concept, they are giving more grants to kind of take it to a product market fit kind of a level, and to market that later on. So they are deploying funds. So take this seed fund scheme for that matter. So huge amount of money is being pumped into helping our young generation to kind of start their own ventures. And I think that's a very good sign, because uh, now even if people who are not from great financial backgrounds can take that risk and do something really crazy and amazing.
Fantastic, Malar. So I want to ask you this question. Okay, you're a founder. You also have your other co-founders with you. The
Yes.
balancing of life for a founder, staying fit, staying healthy, family, and your own internal you know ambitions that are there. How does it work for you, Malar?
To be honest, I'm still figuring it out. I wish I had a very good answer to give to the audience, but I'm still figuring it out. But I think as a founder, your task list never ends, right? There is always one more to do that you only think of and you only put in your task list. And nobody is telling you to do that, but it is just that you feel like, okay, if I try this, what else can happen? Why don't I do this, and this before a certain time? So I think a good time management approach should be deployed. So there are various frameworks for that, and people can adapt to the one that they are comfortable with. But I think as a founder with never ending task list, you could bring some kind of discipline to what you do to avoid a burnout. Instead of working 14 hours a day for 10 days and then falling sick, you might as well work for 9 hours a day for a very long period of time and still maintain your health and have time with your family. So the key part is, I mean, I would, if I had to summarize it in a nutshell, is that when do you stop working in your day? When do you start and when do you stop? And of course, there can be exceptions when there is crisis. I'm not saying that, even if there is crisis, you shut your laptop at 8 p.m. and go party with your friends. But it can't always be on an exception basis that, you're always working till 12. So it is, again, my, feeling about it. Uh, if you hear the likes of Elon Musk, they will say that we work for 80 hours a week and then we build PayPal. That's a whole another story in that case as well. But again, I think it's my personal opinion that it's good to know when to stop and when to start.
Fantastic, Manar. So if you have to also talk about the fact that it's not about being alone, you don't do this alone. You talked about mentorship, you talked about partnerships. So how is that seen working for you? And as an organization, as a startup, how do you look at this partnerships piece and collaboration pieces?
So one thing you'll notice is that growth of any company is based on the kind of partners they have. No company is growing exponentially without their partners, right? So we have had fabulous partners. So we have partnered with incubation centers all across the country, and through these incubation centers, we are giving access to our platform to their incubatees for free of cost, and letting them take advantage of the things that we have in place. We have corporate partners as well. I mean, take Syrow, for example. They are providing benefits to our startups by discount, giving a discount on their services as well. So these initiatives by corporates like Syrow are really helping the startup ecosystem. So startups who don't have enough capital to go all out, these corporates who are lending their helping hand to them in these initial stages are gonna receive that brand loyalty when these startups become huge as well. So doing that thing for the ecosystem is something that corporates have been doing very well. And we as a company definitely believe in partnerships. We are partnering up with banks as a next step, financial institutions. Along with that, we are exploring possibilities of collaboration with educational institutes which are focusing on entrepreneurship as a topic, that the people passing out of those institutes, they can take benefit of our platform as well, and explore more possibilities. But we are frankly amazed at what partnerships can bring to the table. So we recently partnered with Mix Panel, which is a US based company, a software company, who has sponsored one of our programs. And what they're doing essentially is that they are helping startups get those knowledge series for almost free of cost, and they are kind of powering that initiative for us. So some amazing things can come out of partnerships.
Thank you so much, Malar. So if you have to sum up the current investment scenario, because I'm sure you also talk to a lot of angels and VCs and of course institutes, it's a bright future ahead, definitely. What are they saying about the way that their theses of investments and why are they backing up certain founders? If you have to capture that, what would you say, Manar?
Many people are looking at many different things, but I wish, I mean, there was a textbook where they could, just have a success formula. Even VCs would kill for that. That I know this founder is gonna make it big. But I think out of our limited interactions with VCs has been that they look at the founders, they look at how unique the business idea is, how big the market is, and yeah, I think at the end of the day, it is taking a bet on future customer trends as well, and they just go in at that. So it's pretty interesting because the investment thesis we have seen that it has evolved for so many VCs, right? The philosophy that they start with, they actually keep on evolving it. So there is no fixed answer to what is it that they look for in a founder. But every year you need to ask them, what is it that this year you're looking for in a founder?
Excellent, Manar. And if you have to, sum it all up, and if you have a message for all the fellow entrepreneurs, startups, the founders out there, what would you like to say to them as we are in January 2022? It's an exciting and challenging year ahead. Your message to them.
My message to them, let's work together, let's all help each other, and create as many jobs as possible and contribute towards the nation building, I believe, and come up with crazy ideas that can really disrupt things and actually impact the end customer, impact them in a very positive way, make their lives easier. So, if anyone is watching this and if they know that some idea of this can make someone's life easier, just go for it. This is the best time to start a company in India.
This is so awesome, Madar. Thank you so much. And of course, I love the factors that you're talking about, the investment scenarios, the talk about the life balance for founders and what's happening in India. So great. Of course, the importance of partnerships and working together with wonderful people. This has been incredibly interesting and a very good conversation for me as well. So thank you for that, Manar.
Thank you, Vijay.
Right. So this is Vijay signing off for today. And yes, it's a beautiful series that we're going to be bringing out to you, the Syrow Spotlight series. And I also want to say this, that please, go through the websites of both these organizations, both Arthayan as well as Syrow, because some beautiful insights, beautiful blogs, lots of information, resources. Take advantage of the fact that people are so giving. And with that, best wishes and take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.